Good morning, students. So, our next lesson is emergence of kingdoms and republics. So, in the previous chapters, we discussed about tribal societies, so how they did agriculture, how they settled their disputes with the help of headman. Okay, now we are going to learn about history, about kings and emperors, and how they ruled a large kingdoms, how they established kingdoms. Okay, so the Ganga valley from Janapadas to Mahajanapadas. So on the land we have different land masses like valleys, plains, okay, deltas, hilly areas. Okay, so Ganga is the one of the plain area that was formed because of Ganga and Yamuna rivers. So the Ganga and Yamuna rivers at the time of flowing water, the water carried the silt and mud and deposited in the lower areas. Through that, these plains were formed. Okay, those are called Gangetic Valley or Ganga and Yamuna river beds. Those are called river beds of Ganga and Yamuna. So initially, in the beginning, the people like tribals lived in the top of the hills. Later, they moved to different places near the river valleys to do agriculture, to use the water for agriculture, for drinking, to feed the cattle. So people started moving and settled along the river beds. Okay, so these tribes were called Jana. These tribes are called Jana in Sanskrit, and the place where they settled was called Janapadas. So the group of people where they settled, that place was called the Janapada. Okay, next. People began to settle along these river beds in large number about 4,000 years ago. So agriculture was started 12,000 years ago. But the settlement along the rivers started in 4,000 years ago. So already you know that the ancient people started using different tools which are made with stone, copper, bronze and wood. So with the help of these stones, they started clearing the forests and they started tilled the land and they started growing the agriculture like paddy and other crops. So like that, different villages and towns were developed in these spots, in the river beds. So people also inhabited to live in those areas. So these are all belongs to tribal community. So large groups such as such village and towns were called Mahajanapadas. So where the people lived in a small part. Small part is called Janapada. So the big area is called the Mahajanapadas or big Janapadas. Okay, so like that Mahajanapadas were established. Next, how do we know about the Mahajanapadas? That is called history. So we knew about these Mahajanapadas with the help of two sources. One is archaeological excavations and books. What is the meaning of archaeological excavations? So here archaeologist means the person who studied about human life and post history of humans. So they found the information about people who lived in different parts in the ancient days. Okay, they found different tools and different places by excavations. They remove the top layer of the earth and they found the different tools used by the our ancient people. Through that they can imagine how the people were lived. Those are called archaeologists. So we knew the information about the Mahajanapadas with the help of two sources. One is archaeologist excavations and books written by different people. Okay, so here you can see the Mahajanapadas. So 16 Mahajanapadas given in the map. These are established 2000 years ago. Okay, so we can see that Matsya, one of the Mahajanapada in Rajasthan, and Kamboja, it was located in Afghanistan, and Gandhara, Pakistan, Kuru, Haryana and Delhi. Okay, Panchala, Uttar Pradesh, Kosala, Malaya, Vijji, okay, Vasta, Kashi. So these are all Uttar Pradesh, and Magadha, it is located at Bihar, Anga, Asmaka. So if you know the Mahabharata, then you can remember all these Mahajanapadas. Okay, so these are located in different places in India. Okay, so archaeologists have excavated hundreds of sites in the Ganga's valley and have tried to know more about the lives of the people of those days. And books also written by so many people. So like Vedic traditions, Buddhists and Jain monks. So even through the religious books, so they tell us about the towns and villages and about the kings and rulers of those times. Okay, some books also written by some other country people who are visited to our country. So like some people came from Greece. Okay, so through that books also we can know about the Mahajanapadas. Some important archaeological sites of the time of Mahajanapada: Delhi, Atranjikera, Kausambi, Patna, Rajgarh, Ayodhya. These are the archaeological sites. Next, some important books written during this period: Upanishads, Dharma Sutras, Herodotus history, and Strabo, etc. So Herodotus and Strabo, some other people came from different countries and wrote books about our Mahajanapadas and about our kings. Okay, through that, with the that information we can know the history of our kings and Janapadas. Next, villages in the times of Mahajanapadas. How the villages were there at the time of kingdoms. Okay, so in Mahajanapadas, so the Grahapatis practiced the agriculture with their own lands. So who managed agriculture by landowners are called Grahapatis or Grihapatis or Gahapatis. So who usually worked along with their family members on the fields, and they employed dasas or slaves. Slave means the people who were surrendered and made to serve, and they worked without any consideration, without taking any wages, without any facility. In the lands of the Grahapatis are called slaves. Okay, so the Grahapatis to do agriculture, they employed dasas or slaves, and workers, barutakas, so or who worked on their field and homes in return for wages. So slaves don't get any wages, but these barutakas get some wages for their work. So from some wealthy Grahapatis means who are having more lands or more money, had more land and slaves to work for their lands. So the largest landowners, those are called landlords or jamindars, became the headman of the village. Okay, and they may act as policeman, sometimes like as judge, to maintain law and order in the villages, and those were also appointed by the kings to collect the taxes from the villages. Those are called Grahapatis. Okay, here Grahapatis do the agriculture, they employ the dasas, slaves or barutakas to work in their fields, and they act as a headman, and they collect the taxes on behalf of the kings, and even they act as a judge and sometimes policeman to maintain the law and order in the villages. Means they have more power in their villages. So, and in the villages, some type of craft persons may live. So like blacksmiths who made tools necessary for agriculture, like plow, sickles, axes, arrows, etc. Next, potters. Already you know who made pots for cooking and storing the grains. Carpenters who made crafts, plows, furniture, etc. And weavers who wove cloth for the villagers. So these are all called craft persons or artisans. Okay, so these Grahapatis utilize these artisans to prepare the tools for agriculture, and in return they gave grains for their work or for their products. Okay, at the time they followed the barter system. What is the meaning of barter system? So to exchange the goods with the grains. They don't know about money, only they exchange their goods. So that is called the barter system. Okay, next, cities of Mahajanapadas. So along with the villages, some cities also there at the time. So in the cities, mostly the craft persons may lived. So they prepared different goods to sell in different places. There was a more demand for their goods. The potters made different pots. Weavers wore the fine clothes. Okay, so like that, all artisans were settled in the cities and urban areas. Even soldiers, accountants, masons, horse trainers, sweepers, water carriers, wood and ivory carvers, all those settled in the urban areas and cities. These are all called craft persons. So they made the different articles to sell in the cities. Okay, so at the time some business people also there. Okay, those are called merchants. They purchased all these goods from the artisans and they sold them in distinct places, and even they exported to different countries also. And they earned more profits through the mercantile business. Okay, they traveled day and night, and weeks also, and months across rivers, plains, hills, and deserts. They used different animals to carry the goods, and a large number of animals also they used, like donkeys, oxen, and horses, camels, to carry the goods to distinct places and different places. Okay, next, king's army taxes. So at the time, Mahajanapadas were ruled by the kings. So small villages were ruled by the Patla or headman, but the big Janapadas or Mahajanapadas were ruled by the kings. So mostly these kings were emerged from the headmans. Okay, so these kings also had army to protect the kingdoms and uh, to conquer the other kingdoms also. These kings are lived in capital cities, and they were tried to build strong fortresses of wood, stone, brick, and mud. Okay, they lived in the forts, big forts. So to construct the forts, they required lot of money, and they have to appoint the soldiers to protect the Mahajanapadas and ports. So that's why they collected taxes from the public, and even some people appointed to prepare the big bricks, and men and women also work to construct the public buildings and ports. In return, they had paid the wages. Okay, next, the kings of Mahajanapadas were different from such tribal headman or chiefs. So headman and chiefs are having very little income and little wealth, but the kings were having more wealth. So they collected taxes from the people, and they had appointed officers to collect the taxes from the graha parties, from craft persons and traders. If anyone refused to pay the taxes, so they could be punished by the soldiers of the king. So these officers employed some soldiers to collect the taxes. So that's why they get more money to rule the kingdoms. Okay, next. Many kings wanted to be more powerful and wealthy. So to achieve that, they tried to conquer the neighboring kingdoms. Okay, and they started collecting regular taxes from the Graha parties to get more income. And the Graha parties divided their crops into 6 equal parts to pay the taxes. They divided their produce into 6 equal parts and give one part to the king as tax. This is called the baga. They paid taxes in the form of baga. So craft persons had to pay taxes, and they work free of charge for the king for one day every month, craft persons, and herders of cattle or sheep too had to give the animal produce to the king in the form of tax. Traders also made to pay taxes on the goods they sold. Hunters and gatherers in the nearby forest areas too had to bring forest produce like hide, honey, wood, etc. as tax. So like that, all the persons should pay the taxes to the kings. That's why king had more wealth to control the Mahajanapadas. Okay, to spend money at the time of wars. Okay, next, the kings were also constantly waging wars against each others so that they could bring more territories under their rule. Even at the time of wars, after conquering the neighboring countries, they loot their wealth. Okay, and often people of the defeated kingdoms were captured or enslaved and sold off to Grahapatis, traders and officials to work in their fields. Okay, so like that, the kings always thought to extend their kingdoms with wars. Next, Magadha, a powerful kingdom. So already we observed the Magadha located in Bihar. That was one of the big kingdom at that time. So Magadha was situated near the river Ganga. So it has very fertile lands. Grahapatis could irrigate the lands easily. So these rivers were also used for transporting goods and animals. Part of the Magadha were forested. So even elephants were captured from forests and trained for fighting in the wars. They used the different animals at the time of wars. Horses, even elephants also. Okay. Wood from the forest was used for building forts and palaces. Okay. So all this enabled Magadha to emerge as a very powerful kingdom. So who was the ruler of the Magadha? Bimbisara and his son Ajata Satru were early kings who built the power of Magadha. So who established this? Bimbisara. Okay. Next, Mahapadmananda was another powerful ruler of Magadha. All these kings used their armies to conquer other kingdoms. So during the time of Mahapadmananda, the kingdom, the Magadha, was extended from northwestern part of India to Odisha. Next, so some other parts of the Mahajanapadas were ruled by different kings, were like Gond headmen, and they performed different rituals and festivals for the welfare of the entire kingdom. So Vijji a Gana. So the Vijji Mahajanapada was to the north of Magadha, and it had a Gana form of government. So Magadha was ruled by king. Here Vijji, so one of the Mahajanapada, so it has a Gana form of government. What is the meaning of Gana form of government? Gana was ruled by a group of rulers instead of a single ruler. So mostly all kingdoms were ruled by only one king. But here in Ganas, so these are ruled by group of people. That is called Gana. Sometimes even thousands of men ruled together, and each of them was called a Raja. So these people are performed rituals, met and took decisions on issues of common interest in assemblies. So through these discussions and debate, so in the village level also they resolve the disputes with the debate and discussions, like that. Here also these all the people, group of people will be gathered to discuss any issue. However, women, slaves, and wage earners could not participate these assemblies. Those were not allowed to participate in this debate. So Buddha and Mahavira. So you know these people very well. So Buddha and Mahavira belonged to Ganas and become famous teachers respected in all Mahajanapadas. So even these Ganas also occupied by different kings. Even though the kings tried to conquer the Ganas, they remained active for more than 15 years. Okay, students. So like this, so different kingdoms were emerged. So how the Jana and Janapadas emerged, how the kingdoms were emerged, how they ruled these areas with the help of armies, we learned in this lesson. Clear? So write your own points and send to me. Thank you.